Hey everybody, it's Becky. How are you today? I'm just coming in to do a little whip and chat on Frosty Forest Friend while I work on this bottom right corner. So I forget what day I started working on this. I'll have to go back in my videos and look. But I'm really enjoying it. I've only done a small swath at the bottom, maybe 2.5, it's probably closer to 3 inches. I've just been taking my time on this one. It's such a beautiful painting. I want to enjoy it. I'd like to have it finished, hopefully mid to late November. We'll have to see how that goes. Like I said, I'm really not in a rush on this one. I'm just trying to, place everything nice and neat and keep all my squares lined up. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on this painting. Had a nice little weekend. It's now Sunday night, like 11-ish at night. And yes, I probably should be asleep so I could get up and go to work tomorrow, but you know me, I am a night owl. So, Saturday was a very busy day. Didn't get everything done that we had intended to, but that's just the way life goes. We went to my friend's son's soccer game first thing in the morning. From there, my friend and I, another friend, went to the quilt show that was over in the next town over. That just so happens to be where our other friend's son's soccer game was. So, two birds, one trip. It was kind of nice. The game actually went really good. I was very, very proud of our little guys. They actually scored 2 goals in this game. Now, we're not going to talk about how many goals the other team scored. This was only the second and third goals that they have scored all season. So we're super proud of their efforts that they've put forth and the hard work they've been doing at practice to try to, improve their skills. So yeah, they played a really great game, and we're super proud of the goals that they scored. And believe me, we did a lot of celebrating, a lot of hooping and hollering whenever they scored those 2 goals. So I think it really kind of pumped them up. They've been, getting defeated by pretty big scores this year. And all these players are fairly new. Most of them are only on their first season of soccer. There's a couple that have played one season before. So none of them are really super knowledgeable about the game. They just haven't learned it yet. And so they're working real hard in practices, trying to learn. So yeah, we were super excited about the game. I apologize for the wobbliness of the camera. I don't know why the arm on this holder has just gotten to the point where it wobbles so bad, but it may be time for a new holder, which is sad because I haven't had this one very long. I don't know. How often do you have to get a new holder for those who have been doing YouTube for a while and been through a few different setups? How often are you having to invest in new holders to keep your equipment, your camera steady? In my case, I'm just using my cell phone. So that might have something to do with it. Plus, my stand is pretty cheap. I did not know how long I was going to be doing the YouTube thing, if it was going to be a, one weekend thing, and I decided I didn't want to do it anymore, or, whatever. But obviously, I've been doing it for a little while now, so maybe time to look at getting a better holder. I'll have to see what the options are out there. But yeah, just if you're working on your diamond paintings, you're not looking at the screen, so you're not getting seasick. If you are watching, I apologize. So the quilt show that we went to was a great quilt show. I love going to that guild show every year. How they manage to put on such an awesome show every year, year after year, I don't know. My guild, we only do a show every other year. And so we have 2 years to prepare for a show, which I feel like that works well for us. I cannot imagine trying to put on a show every single year. It's a lot of work. It really is. So, but I got to visit with a good friend of mine for a while who owns a shop who vends at that show every year. She vends at our show as well. So it's just always nice to visit with her and, catch back up what the new things are in the quilting world. And so anyways, what else did we do? We were supposed to go Saturday night rather, to a fundraiser event at a church here in town. It's not a church that we are members of, but we thought the fundraiser would be a fun thing to go to. It was like a little Oktoberfest thing, and my day at the quilt show just ran so long because this friend that I sit and chit chat with, I also help her break down her booth and get packed up ready to go home. And so usually we have myself, her, and one other person helping. We didn't have that third person this go round, so took us a little longer to break down than what we wanted. And by the time I got home, my husband was invested in a football game and didn't want to leave, so we ended up not going to that fundraiser, unfortunately. So we went to a local restaurant instead. And when we got there and he went to order a beer, he was like, he's like, I want such and such beer. And the girl at the counter's like, I don't have anyone here that's able to sell beer right now, because by law we have to be over 21 to be able to sell beer. And I was like, excuse me, but the manager is here, and I can guarantee you she's over 21 because she's 3 weeks younger than me. 3 weeks younger. Not like 3 years younger, like 3 weeks younger. So I know for a fact that she is old enough to sell beer. I also know that she has her bartending license, so, if they sold things other than beer, she could do that. Oh, well, by this point, my husband was like, never mind, I won't get a beer. He didn't want to argue it, and the manager was busy at the time, and so, no big deal. He came home and drank a beer. He doesn't drink often, but occasionally with dinner or whatever, he wants to have a drink, and there's nothing wrong with that. So today, like I said, it's Sunday. We got up, showers, got dressed, all that stuff. We went to breakfast. We went to the grocery store. And he was like, man, that was like $70-something. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I feel like we got a lot of meals for that, $70-something. And I know 70-something's not a whole lot, but we got, I think it was like 4 nights worth of chicken. We got a couple nights worth of beef. We got like 3 nights worth of pork. We got a couple of frozen pizzas. We got, I didn't really need anything side dish wise or fresh vegetable wise. So it was mostly just like getting caught back up on having meats in the freezer, and then stuff for me for lunches throughout the week. So I don't think we did too bad for everything that we got. So, freezer's restocked, pantry's restocked, and then, of course, naturally, we ended up ordering out for dinner. Isn't that the way it goes? You go spend all that money at the grocery store, and then nobody feels like cooking, so you order out. Anyway, so between the grocery store and ordering a pizza for dinner, because he didn't feel like eating one of the pizzas that we had just bought from the grocery store a few hours before that. I don't know why, but whatever. Anyway, so we did some work outside in our yard. Around the back of my house, it's shaped kind of L-shaped here, and right in here is where our air conditioning unit sits. Well, I used to have 2 dogs, and they were out in the backyard a lot, unattended, and so they ended up chewing the wires for the air conditioning unit more than once. And so I ended up building just a utility fence around it. It wasn't anything pretty or fancy, but it was functional. So, with this nice little utility fence, it's been up there for years and years, and we haven't had dogs in 7 years now, I think. I'd have to look back at how long we have had our cat for, because we got her not long after we put the dogs down. There were some health issues going on with them, so they ended up both getting put down at the same time. And shortly after that, we got our cat. And so we no longer had need for this little utility fence, so we finally got it pulled down today. I've got a friend who's going to reuse the supplies if she ever gets over here and picks them up. Over the summer, she didn't want to do it because she'll need her pickup to haul the supplies, and her pickup doesn't have air conditioning, so in triple-digit heats, that's really not the best time of the year to be driving a vehicle that doesn't have any air conditioning. So now that it's nice and cool out, hopefully she can come over and pick those things up and put them to good use. Let's see, what else did we do today? My husband got the yard mowed, and the yard itself didn't need mowed. However, the leaves are starting to fall, and we mulch those up and bag them up for a friend to use in her compost. So, you know, he'll do a few more rounds of mowing, but he catches the mulched up leaves and bags those for a friend. So, what else did we do? Got some laundry done, got the dishes caught back up. Now, say we went out for dinner. We tried cooking something here at the house. It was an experimental meal. Neither one of us have ever cooked fish on our own. Like, we eat fish, don't get me wrong, but neither one of us had ever actually cooked fish. So we were like, let's try. And so we tried, and it wasn't good. I'm not 100% convinced that it was fully cooked. It wasn't like raw, but I'm not. There was a couple of bits I'm like, that might be a little undercooked, and I'm not sure we should risk it. So that's when we decided, let's just order a pizza. So went and got that and came back, had dinner, watched a little TV. We are finally caught up on Chicago PD. It's what we've been watching quite a bit of. We do Chicago PD and Chicago Med. Why we don't do Chicago Fire, I'm not quite sure. But we don't. So, pause on that thought. I have a question for you all. Okay, if you see here, I've got two different diamonds here. I've got one that's got lots of facets and one that has very few facets. How many of you spend time picking out just that one and leaving these alone? Now, this is a Diamond Art Club painting, so typically you've got more than enough drills to be pretty picky about them for the trash and all that, but I don't like the square ones that only have, what is that, 9 facets versus the other ones that have like a lot of facets. Does that make sense? Is anybody else weird like that, or is it just me? Okay, back to the TV topic. So, Chicago PD, we are caught up through season 10. And my husband and I were like, wait a second, because after this last episode, we watched it jump to a completely different television show instead of on the streaming service. It usually goes to the next episode of the same television show, and it skipped to a different show altogether, and we're like, what the heck? And so we looked, and sure enough, that was the last episode of the last season, and that season 11 is pending recording because of the writer and actor strikes. And so we got to looking, like I said, Chicago Med is the other Chicago show that we watch. And so we're like, okay, well, how many seasons are there of it? And the answer is 8. Guess what season we're on? We're on season 8. So we're going to be finishing that soon. And according to Google, 2024 is when they expect new episodes to start coming out. But it all, of course, pending the strikes. And so between now and then, we'll just have to find some other shows to watch, I guess. Granny, I know you like the British shows and Survivor and Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. Trying to think of what else we could watch, because like neither of us are really good at starting new shows without some prompting. So like the Chicago PD, my husband picked that out quite some time ago, and he actually started buying it on DVDs before we had any streaming services. And then we got caught up to the live season on TV. And so then we switched over to watching it on TV, and now we're watching it on streaming, but we're out of seasons. So, and then I would occasionally see little clips on like TikTok or Facebook of Chicago Med, and that got me watching it. And at first when we started watching it, he was like, I don't want to watch this. It's another medical drama. We watch too many medical shows. And so I was like, that's fine. I'll watch it by myself. You don't have to watch it with me. And then one day I was starting to watch an episode without him, and he was like, hey, wait a second, I decided I like that show, I want to watch it. Okay, fine. So like I said, we've been watching it for a while now, and we're caught up, and we're in the last season. We just have a few episodes left of it before we catch up to where it is season wise. So, you know, with the strikes on, we'll have to see what other television shows we can find that we both like. We've been watching Quantum Leap, and it, of course, just restarted. So hopefully we get a full season of it. I think I'm happy with the way those are lined up. I am being, like I said, pretty particular on this one. I plan on this one being hanging in my house every Christmas season. So, yeah, we'll have to make sure it stays nice and neat and pretty. Anyways, let me zoom out here and see if you guys can see the entire bottom part. Bear with me while I